So today I want to continue the discussion on marriage. I started in my last video by talking about the uniqueness of the institution of marriage and what makes it unique. But today I want to talk about some things you need to know before you head into marriage. So we've agreed that marriage is a huge commitment because of the kind of institution it is and what it requires and what it's trying to do. Is bringing two people from completely different worlds, completely different upbringings, completely different perspectives on life, and trying to bring them together to create a new unit. And it's a huge commitment to take that kind of risk with somebody you don't know. Maybe you met in the last decade of your life or something, and you're starting out with this person. You never lived with them, most likely you've never really been together in that enclosed space, and you're taking that commitment and you're saying we want to go this journey together. The thing is, nobody goes into a marriage thinking, yeah, after a few months we're going to get divorced, or after a few years we're going to get divorced. Usually, I have to put that clause, usually, because of course there are always exceptions to every rule and there are outliers, and we can never know the deepest intentions of people. So we found people that have some funny ideas, but generally nobody goes into a marriage thinking, in a few months I should be out of this. It's usually for a lifetime. And the vows that are exchanged during the marriage ceremony show this, that you are committed to one another for a lifetime. But then people marry and things go wrong. Exigencies come up and we find a lot of divorce happening. And you're wondering why. I've seen so many people say, you know what, I'm scared of getting married. If people are running out of it like this, and it's not serving so many people, I am afraid to make that commitment. What guarantees do I have? The truth is, you don't have any guarantees, as with most things in life. You can only start and see where it takes you. But there are things that you can do to mitigate the risks. Because in as much as there are divorces happening, there are many marriages that have lasted through the test of time. But the thing is, we hear the bad stories more than the good stories. There are many, many, many marriages that have been blissful, not just lasted, that have thrived and been blissful over a long and extended period of time. And so we want to look at the things that make for those kind of marriages. Now, here's the thing about what I'm doing on this video. I'm talking to one side. I'm talking to you as a woman and what you will need to evaluate. Yes, there could be men listening to the video, but in general, I'm talking to a female audience. And so I'm talking to you as the woman and saying, what should you be looking out for? Because like I said in my last video, women tend to be passive when it comes to marriage. And so it's like, oh, he asked me and I answered. You understand? I have suitors coming for me. So it's like being advertised on the shelf of a supermarket and waiting for someone to come and buy. And once the person can pay the price, then you accept, so to speak. And so women tend to play a more passive role. Meanwhile, it appears that the man who is coming would have seen something that he likes about that lady before he comes up to her and says, you know what, I want to do this with you. So women are waiting to be asked, and men are doing the more active role of asking. Someone will say, are you saying that women should ask? Well, I've done a video about that. You can find it somewhere on my channel, so I won't talk about that today. But what I'm saying is, even in your passive role, you have a very active part to play, because you are going to be in this marriage for the lifetime. So what are you saying yes to? What should you look out for? Let's talk about it in this video. So there are 3 things that you need to look out for in a man when he comes up to you. The first thing is the way he thinks. How does his mind work? And you get to know that by interaction with him. And that's what the dating or courtship process is for. You're together and you spend time together, you go out, you want to understand how he thinks. So there are key areas that you need to think about. What does he think about finances? What does he think about children? What does he think about parents? What does he think about having authority figures? What does he think about life in general? What does he think about work? You want to understand how his mind works, because understanding how his mind works is what tells you about him. You know, there's a phrase in the Bible that says, as a man thinks in his heart, so he is. That's the truth. I can act for a while, but I can't fake my thinking process. And that's what you want to uncover. There's this thing they say about the number of words a woman speaks in a day versus the number of words a man speaks in a day. And they say like the ratio is like 1,000 to 1 or something. Women talk a lot and men tend not to talk as much. You're going to have to draw it out. Remember, you have a role to play. I like to liken a woman who is in a relationship to a recruiter. So say you built a company and it was successful and you wanted to hire a chief operating officer or an executive level personnel for your company. You're not going to say, oh, all the people I got, they barely went through high school or secondary school, so I don't have a choice. I just have to pick one of them. No, you won't do that. You're going to choose somebody who, from their antecedents, from their resume, you can see that they have experience. They understand what it takes to run a company of the magnitude that you have built. You're going to try and uncover how they think. First of all, you ask them to submit their resumes. You look at their resumes. You take them through an aptitude test. You take them through steps of interviews, maybe 2 or 3 steps of interviews, just to be sure that they are the right fit. It's the same thing. I don't believe in playing hard to get, no, but you have to take this person through a series of tests. Remember, you're going to be spending your life with this person. So you have to take them through a series of tests. You want to uncover their thought processes. How do they think? Very important. The second thing is you want to evaluate how he behaves. Yes, I've said that you can act, but you can only act for so long. You want to see how this person responds in certain situations. How do they respond to people who are beneath them, so to speak? How do they respond to your family? How do they respond to your friends? How do they relate with people around? How do they behave when you go out? How do they behave when you are in social settings? How do they behave when you're in private? Things like that. You want to evaluate their behavior because it tells a lot. The behavior is the package, what you see. The thought is what is inside, is the gift that is inside. So you want to be sure that, okay, what I'm judging about this person and the way they think is actually what happens on the outside. Like I said, people can act, but only for so long. So you want to judge their behavior. And if you see anything that raises an alarm bell, take it for real. Most of the time it is real, especially when it doesn't happen once. The first time may be an accident, but by the time it happens twice or thrice, then you have evidence, not accidents. The third thing you want to evaluate is how he resolves conflicts. Now, most times when it comes to marriage and relationships, we tend to judge how similar are we, how similar are our values, how similar are our backgrounds, how similar are our interests and things like that. But believe me, it takes just one conflict to throw a cog in the wheel of your love story. Believe me, people have broken up over things as stupid as, oh, he doesn't switch off the light, I'm always the one switching off the light. Or he never cooks, I'm always the one cooking. Or he never apologizes, I'm always the one apologizing. And things like that. It could be the stupidest thing. Oh, you ate the fish head, I ate the fish body. Or you ate the largest piece of meat, I got the smaller part, and I always get the smaller part. And it seems stupid when you think about that one issue. But the truth is that It's never about what caused the conflict. It's always about the implications of the conflict and how it was handled. So if every time there's a conflict, you always have to apologize, or the atmosphere becomes tense, there is malice in the home or in the relationship, there is malice and silent treatment in the relationship for days or weeks over one conflict, believe me, it's not going to get better. But that tells a lot about the way conflicts are going to be managed when you get married. Conflicts will arise. There's nothing you can do about that. Even you sometimes have conflicts within yourself. Or am I lying? You do now. Sometimes I argue with myself, oh, if you shouldn't have done that. And then, I beat myself up. And then I have to come to that point where I forgive myself. And sometimes you actually carry that guilt for so long. So how much more with another person? Oh, you shouldn't have. Oh, you know what? Why can't you just pick up your shoes after yourself? And it's like, yeah, and it blows up and it becomes an argument and you're like, okay. Or you say, babe, can't you just take your plate to the kitchen? And then it becomes an issue and for weeks you're trying to resolve it. You know that that's going to cause problems. So you have to be able to judge the conflict resolution skills, because conflicts will come and the issue will be, how are they resolved? Or it could be somebody who sweeps issues under the carpet. They never want to talk about conflict. I've seen that kind of thing. Whenever conflicts arise, it's like, oh, don't worry about it, don't worry about it. They just keep sweeping it under the carpet. They never want to talk about it. They always want to just talk about the good things. They can't handle conflict at all. That is a problem. It's going to cause problems in the future. If you look at those three things, you'll have a good picture of who the person really is. Believe me, other things like physique, like finances and all that, they can change. Somebody who is slim today could go fat tomorrow and all that. Things happen. But what will not really change is the way a person thinks, the way they behave, their natural impulse, the way they behave, and the way they handle conflict. It's not likely to change much over the lifetime. It's a function of the way they think. So those are the most important things that you need to judge. They're internal things, and it's very important to look at them. If you do that, rather than just looking at the external, believe me, you'll be on your way to making a good choice. So tell me what you learned from this video in the comments below. Meanwhile, I'm putting together an event. If you live in the city of Ibadan, or you can make it down to Ibadan, I'm putting together an event at the end of November for ladies who are married. It's called Behind Closed Doors, and this edition is focused on marriage transformation. So if you are having challenges in your marriage and you are committed to resolving the challenges and making your marriage thrive, click the link in the description below and fill the form, and we'll get back to you. Don't forget to watch my next video. Ciao!